We're going to talk about innovation. It's on the back of Enterprise Kenya. And a lot of people are asking, what is Enterprise Kenya? So let me try and put it this way. What are the biggest tech innovations to come out of Kenya? I want some answers. Of course, don't give me M-Pesa. Everybody talks about M-Pesa. M-Pesa and Ushahidi, good. Brick, excellent. M-Kopa, fantastic. Abacus, excellent. They just won. Congratulations. And many others. And one of the first perspectives I want to bring in here before we talk about Enterprise Kenya and innovation, and especially the Silicon Savannah is starting to grow some thorns, and there's some cactus that's starting to overtake the vegetation.
Enterprise Kenya, as Larry said, it's a name that probably all of us have had since last year when we had the Innovation Forum. And out of that was born a baby called Enterprise Kenya. And I, like many of you, have been waiting to see the doors of Enterprise Kenya open. And probably today we will start telling you where that door is. Or Joe Mushero will tell us when we shall come for the opening ceremony of Enterprise Kenya. But what has happened is before Enterprise Kenya becomes a reality, before we open that door, the International Trade Center came into the country in 2004 and launched a program called the Netherlands Trust Fund. The program is supporting Kenyan companies, Uganda, Bangladesh, particularly in the ITS sector. And this is a 3-year program. The value in Kenya is 1.2 million. And the key implementing partners in Kenya is ICT Authority and the Kenya IT and Outsourcing Services. This is actually a proof of concept of what Enterprise Kenya will be or is. And I wanted to create a picture and showing the linkage between NTF and Enterprise Kenya. Output number 2 of the NTF project is export competitiveness of IT and ITS companies. The project selected 33 companies who applied on a competitive basis. And these companies have been broken into 3 tiers. 10 companies are already exporting in the region and globally. 12 of them have products that are ready to be exported, and some are actually exporting but do not really have an export strategy, while 11 of those companies have products, but they are really not that ready. But here is the good news. Combined, these companies are already exporting to 14 countries. They have employed full-time employees 1,283 and part-time 224. And this is the best news, that together, our revenue in 2014 was 5.9 billion. This is just 33 companies in Kenya. I wonder how many companies we have in IT. Now, looking at what NTF is doing, what Enterprise Kenya aspires to do, and what the ICT Master Plan says it will do, there are clear linkages. NTF hopes to create 5% more jobs by the time the project ends. We are hoping that there will be an increase of 8% in the value of IT and ITS exports, and that these companies will actually have entered 3 new markets, and they will have met 55 new potential buyers of their products and services. Now, the ICT Master Plan looks at contributing 8% to the GDP, creating 180,000 jobs, 55 companies becoming global. So what I'm looking at is, already we have 33 companies under the NTF project, but the ICT Master Plan looks at 55 companies. If we go back and we just take the 10 companies that are already exporting, what if we looked at those companies and started figuring out what is making them not play at the global market? What do we need to do to take them to that level? And the other 12 companies in tier 2, they're almost ready to get there. And that, I think, is the connection that we are bringing in with Enterprise Kenya. We already have statistics, data, companies that have been prepared. And I need to make this clear. The $1.2 million that I talked about, that's the value of this project, is not hard cash that is being given to these companies. This is technical assistance that is being provided. So what we are getting is training, exposure, business to business, going out into the country and meeting buyers, and that's the value. So the message we are trying to send is, you do not necessarily grow the ecosystem by giving cash to companies. If we can take the model of NTF and add more companies and start building their capacity, which is what Enterprise Kenya is trying to do, we probably will actually achieve the 55 global companies faster than we thought we would.
So what Esther did not say about Enterprise Kenya is the funds, the 1 billion shillings, should have come, I believe, out of the youth fund. And then the money disappeared. So the people who are waiting to be supported by this 1 billion shilling fund, the good people who used to run the youth fund appropriated it for themselves. So that is why there is no money. The ICT Authority is ready. They have the documents and everything necessary to set this up. However, the funds don't exist. So if a little later we'll be asking the CS and his PSs who are here, where we're going to get 1 billion shillings or whatever amount of money is available to get this off the road. And I see Rose is laughing. Let's start with the good parts first, because you're a beneficiary of what Esther was just presenting, and you have a fascinating entrepreneur story. You won a pretty big deal competition.
Rose Magas, Greenbelt Communications Limited, a company that I personally founded in 2006. So we're basically in our 10th year running. And I think we offer web solutions and basically applications, different portals to integrate into your business processes one way or the other. What information goes to the customer? What information do you collect from the customer? Which point of public access do you then give to that particular information? So that's what we've been doing for the last 10 years. And fast forward to 2014, when there was a call out there through ICT Authority for companies interested to join the NTF3 project. And I didn't know what it was, so just by way of what we were talking about during the Women Forum, please put yourself out there, apply. So we did apply, and I believe they did say there was about 160 companies that then applied and were shortlisted, and the 33 were picked, and I'm among the 33. The journey that we have then worked with the NTF3 project was amongst all, because their key output is really to get these companies to be able to export. And for us as a company, we have been working, we've had success stories within the company, within the country, and have been working with different clients, but really had not looked at the export market. That is one. So one of the key things that then was put into our ethos in what we were doing within the year is, how do we then export? And in part of exporting, what does it mean? First of all, I know the English we use here, and I'm able to, I know like yesterday we had Eric Omondi and we were all able to laugh, but that's the English, the language that is understood here. So if you're going to export even your jokes alone, what is it, the language that the other people will understand, and how do you then put that? So that was one, the beginning.
Are you saying our English is not export quality?
Unfortunately, it's understood locally. I'm not saying anything beyond that. I'm picking my words. It's understood locally,
all right.
So that's what I'll say. And so part of the whole process that we've gone through was, how do we then package this? What is it that you offer as a business? How are you packaging it? What is the brand that you're putting out there?
Okay.
And I would like to say, through that particular process, one of the, and really put yourself out there, the opportunities, and to do that. So we did participate in one of the other opportunities that came up, which was really developing something. It was really coming up with an idea of how to connect women business owners around the world. We entered into this competition without clear guidelines, what needs to happen and everything. So we entered over 300 companies around the world entered for that particular competitions, went through different processes to be shortlisted, and ended up with as the top 5 that then traveled to Brazil to then present our idea before a panel of judges. And this was a contest that was organized by the World Trade Organization, Women in Trade.
It's Mary Mwangi, and our company is known as Data Integrated Limited. What we do is mobile payment solutions. We automate payments at the very basic point of interaction with the customer. Our solution is a customized solution, and we also offer the back-end support and the data to support the businesses. How we got into this as a company, we first started out with the M-Pesa. We started our company in 2012 when M-Pesa was just starting to pick up in the country. And we realized that when you if you wanted to pay by M-Pesa, you actually had to go to an agent, withdraw your money, and then go to the merchant, and then that's when you would actually pay. So we were thinking, why don't we have a solution where you can just pay at the point of sale? So we came up with we developed a device that could actually accept the cash, the mobile money, and the credit cards in one place, so you don't have to use multiple devices for that. The one thing that was missing in that was tax VAT receipting. So we thought, we can do that. Why don't we go to Kenya Revenue Authority, KRA, and ask them for permission and how we can go about getting our device certified for that. And that is where most of our problems actually started. KRA did not want help with collecting their VAT. They have, with different reasons, they would ask us, oh, come back, we're not gonna accept or authorize your device to be a VAT. The last part was actually very interesting. They said, hey, you're Kenyan, so you might know the people that who will be using this device. So that means your transactions could be compromised. Maybe our program, we might favor certain people. And to me, that is where I think as a country, the agencies, some of the government agencies are actually failing the entrepreneurs who really want to help the
Mary,
country.
let me get this straight. This allows KRA to collect VAT.
Yes.
Easy.
Yes.
But they're giving you roadblocks. So you can't get it because they're basically giving you the runaround.
Yeah, their reasoning, actually the final one was the funniest one. They said that we can do that. And then they said, oh, we're not the ones authorized to actually, we don't have permission to authorize VAT collection, to authorize the devices for VAT collection. And I was wondering, who in Kenya then does, if it's not KRA?
I'm called Agwin Somondi from KRA ICT. My initial reaction is that, okay, I don't know the specifics of what your solution does, but as you may be aware, not everyone can be a tax agent. That is done from high levels treasury, and KRA might not be the agent to tell you you can also collect on behalf of the government. But I'm just answering generally because I don't know the specifics of your solution. Maybe something you can take offline, then we can see how to move forward.
We actually were not trying to be an agent. We were trying to develop onto our point of sale system a way that others can actually be the agents if they want to. All we wanted was to put the program, the application onto the device. So KRA does have, it has requirements that says you can be an ETR or you can develop an ESD. So we did develop an ESD. They gave us the guidelines and the requirements, and we developed with the ESD like KRA required us to. But when we took it to them to review, they said, no, wait a minute, we're about to automate our whole KRA system. So we cannot look at your stuff right now. Come back after November. We come back after November, they say, oh, wait a minute, we're not approving any more ESD, we're not approving any more ETR right now because we're about to change, and we don't want you to blame us for having put out your devices out there. And we said, but we developed it, so if you change, we will actually change to what you're requiring. They're like, no, but it has completely been stopped, so you can't do anything. Maybe you need to go see the commissioner. Then you go to the commissioner and say, no, go back and talk to the tech guy. And so it's just the back and forth. There's no like set way. There are no rules. There are no regulation. It looks like they're just making up as they go.
The only startups that we deal with are global startups. The only thing that we do here is to take African startups to the rest of the world. And I do think that while in the past there have been many strong examples in M-KOPA, in M-PESA, and all the commonly quoted stuff, I'm really looking forward to the next generation of what's out there. I think what's been built here so far has been very much focused on Kenya, on East Africa, on solving very local problems. I think now we're at a stage whereby it's ready to begin solving the rest of the world's problems. And we've already begun that process by taking a couple of Kenyan fintech startups across to the rest of the world, having them work with some of Asia's biggest banks, having them get paid pilots like that, having them come back saying that we've already worked with some of the world's largest. So I do think that competitions like this as well have a large role to play when it comes to dictating the direction and flow of innovation, right? You've got categories that are around addressing vulnerable groups, addressing healthcare. I think entrepreneurs take a cue from that and definitely develop along that direction. Now, if I develop something around vulnerable groups, how easy is that for me to scale across the rest of the world?
Right.
I'm very likely to be developing something that's a very specific vulnerable group here in Kenya, right? So a lot of that signaling is really, really important, and we're trying to play a much more active role in that.
If we had Enterprise Kenya fully set up and operational, you can open this up to basically an innumerable number of people all across the country. And so there's a real opportunity there.
There's a big opportunity. As I said, NTF is coming to an end in 2017.
Right.
And the question is, as I said, we have the 3 tiers of companies. Tier 3 definitely will not be ready yet to do what Tier 1 is doing. And that is why I see a direct linkage with Enterprise Kenya. What Enterprise Kenya can do is take up the data and the information that we shall already have collected, the companies that we will have already built to a certain level, and actually roll and grow to a point where the results that Enterprise Kenya aims to achieve in the next 3 to 5 years will actually be achieved much faster. And the other thing is that within Kenya, we do have the capacity to actually do exactly what NTF is doing, because what they are doing is really technical assistance.
Right.
And when you look at the technical...
They don't give money, so we need to make that clear. Yeah. Rose did not get money from NTF.
She doesn't get money, nobody gets money. And I must say that the awards that we've just seen here, 2 of those companies are actually NTF beneficiaries. So what I'm saying is that all we need to do is to look at what is it that these companies require to get to that next level. So it's training on branding and marketing of your products. How do you do that? How do you stand up in a crowd and actually pitch for your product for a buyer to actually say, by the way, that looks like an interesting product? How do you do it even without having anybody else push it? So what we have seen is, and this is an example, is that companies are actually going out there and saying we can, and they're winning awards. So that's the capacity that this project is trying to develop.
All right, Rose, as a female entrepreneur, you want all the opportunities available to you, but sometimes because of structural issues like these, or I don't know, whatever reason, it doesn't quite open all of it up to you. And you have shown that with the little support you did get from NTF, look at what you were able to do, win a global competition. What more is possible?
Okay. I think if we're looking in terms of support, what more is possible? I think from where I sit, the biggest challenge, even in the support systems that we've seen over and over, it has startups, and then it jumps to your banks and everything where you can do, and you're well established. And then you passed the 3-year mark,
okay,
and you almost don't attract anyone. Yet after the 3-year mark, the 3 to 10-year mark where I am, is where there's a lot of things that are process-based. That is one. How do I ensure that, for example, my staff understand what it is? What is it that the culture of the company, for example, promotes? What is it when somebody comes in without, within a week or within a month, you work in organizations, within 3 months, you're able to understand and sell the same company. What is it that the company has then put together? One of the key things I remember taking away in the learning for this particular support was a lot of us, as we start up our businesses, we know what we're doing and everything, And I was told, one, you can classify your business. Any business can only be classified into 3 things that you're selling. Either the product that is superior, you're selling bread and it has ingredients and everything and it's a tangible. If you're not selling a product, then you're either selling your customer portfolio. I have done this for A, B, C, D, and you can see that. Or 3, the process in which we do. You know, we will expedite, you will be able to receive your payments within a short period of time. So you're either in those 3 circles, and it's really sitting down and understanding that was, for me, an eye-opener that then made me be able to present what we do and really to a bigger audience and be able to get through. But one of the key things that I also got in the NTF and ITC support was there's trainings, there's an e-learning portal that is provided by ITC that you do get certification as you go through that process of training and you get the certificate. And with those certificates, you can append them to any procurement process that you're doing, any tendering process that you're doing there. And I think that was one of the key challenges that I'm still having to date within our ecosystem. I know when I talk here that I do web solutions, everyone looks at it and says, but every Tom, Dick, and Harry does that. So really what differentiates you? And I keep asking, what is it that we can do to differentiate me? Who has put in all this energy, all this time? I know there's a discussion around, yes, it's a startup, you don't have to put all these barriers. But if I'm coming to you to ask for a contract for 5 million shillings, for example, shouldn't I have gone an extra mile of investing some 10,000 shillings to get a certificate from the government that then says, the government knows me, it knows what I'm doing and all that. So for me, there's a policy area that we need to look at and see how do we empower these people? How do we go out there? What makes me credible from Kenya? If I applied for this particular, and you'll go to other markets, and they have clear requirements of what is required. You certify this. For me to be, for example, Microsoft reseller, I will need to go through certification process to be able to resell that. So if I am going to even work for the government and offer services, what do I need to have met to check off before I can go that? And I guess that's the frustration that she's getting. There's nothing that is said other than, there's nothing written down other than you're going there and you're meeting all these things, and then it depends on who you're meeting today. So I think for me, that would be one of the key things that Enterprise Kenya would be able to bring out is how do we then go out there and say, these are the qualified people, you can deal with them.
We need to find a solution that makes Enterprise Kenya work. Why do we not have listed companies here? It's because we primarily haven't looked at how we create value for our businesses, how we move to the next level. So we stick to, I think we're still very small. I'll tell you, I met many investors who came into this market trying to invest $100 million, and you cannot find $10 million investments in the ICT sector. Even if you say Safaricom is an opportunity, you go to the NSE, you can't find the stocks themselves. You'll be hard-pressed to spend $1 million to get stock even for Safaricom. So the businesses that are being built, right now, Enterprise Kenya, there's a lot of conversation about the money, the $10 million or the 1 billion shillings. But that's actually not our main issue. Our main issue is how do we actually get, the word is not competent, but management that has moved from now just startup phase, moves into growth, and then scaling. We need to really scale our businesses to be able to absorb a lot more money. So I don't feel that we're ready right now to just say, here's money, build Enterprise Kenya. Is it structured in the right way? Right now, it's not an institution on its own. It's supposed to partner with the other private sector and other institutions to raise more money so that that all goes to the investments that will be taken into account. But right now, it's under ICTA, and ICTA is not structured to be an enterprise business. It's actually an implementation agent for the government.
I think there's already been a lot of great work that's been done to build the sort of base layer of the ecosystem, right? You're looking at all your hubs. There's been a lot of support for training. There's been a lot of support for space. But I think, again, now it's matured to a stage whereby these companies have grown and they want to move faster, right? I think there's also been a bit of a narrative and a pushback around why is it that all the really successful startups are the ones that get funding all have a Mzungu face sort of fronting it, right? And I think there are some legitimate reasons around that, right? It's about access to people and access to funding, access to experts, right? And we're looking to try and bridge that gap.
Sometimes you'll go and you try to sell your product, but if there's a Mzungu there, or even when you're applying for the grants, there is a word there and everybody's saying, maybe I need to get a Mzungu on my board, because then you will actually get the respect. If I had a Mzungu, maybe when I went to KRA, maybe they would have listened to me faster. I don't know. Maybe that's why I didn't do it right.
What I want to comment about is on the startup issue.
Yes.
I think we tend to want to hold ideas. So when we create an idea in the early stages, many times you want to not draw in strong partners early because you believe that.
They'll steal your idea.
It makes sense that either they will steal your idea or you will become a very small partner in that whole idea, yet you are saying it's your idea. A lot of people say that. And I think the whole mentality needs to change where you say better to have a small piece of a big cake, a cake that is growing over time, than to have a whole tiny little cake which you will not be able to grow. I want to comment particularly about the KRA issue because I've checked the list of approved physical electronic device suppliers. The manufacturers are all from Greece, Japan, Poland, Germany, Turkey, Bulgaria, Ukraine, and Italy. Now,
None from Kenya.
None from Kenya. You said yours was Kenyan, and that they asked you, you are a Kenyan.
Yes, and that's the problem. They will not approve something because you developed it locally, even if it meets the same standards.
I've understood it immediately. The list tells you you cannot be a Kenyan. and go to ask to have such an approval. But the other question is there is also no process that is defined. So
For approving, right.
Probably what you need, and then of course you know in Kenya, how do people get approval? Maybe there is an unknown fact around the approvals. You know, in this country, all those other little things we know.
No,
But
we don't know. Tell us.
I think the first thing you need to explore the process. You need to look for a partner in Turkey or wherever.
But we've developed
Be
this.
open and decide, because you are going to be chasing this thing for a long time.
Here's the thing. Listen to this. We went to Rwanda. Rwanda opened their system. We were able to develop for the Rwanda revenue that is even higher than the Kenyan one. Why won't Kenya allow us?
I agree with you. It's completely unacceptable, but you'd want to test them to the logical end so that you build a full case which you can be reporting to seek policy change, because it's completely unacceptable. But I think one of the hidden things about all that